Hello and welcome. So what we're going to do today is we are going to go through a couple of these OLI chapters. Today we're going to go through chapter, uh, let's start with chapter one, statements and arguments. And I'm going to show you how to do a couple of the problems that are there and hopefully make things a little bit easier on you. So the way we're going to do this is I'm going to first share my screen. That's my screen. Great, here we are. All we've done is we have logged into our Open Learning Initiative and we've entered the course. So let's go ahead and jump into the available practice and hopefully get the most speedy way of doing this. All right, cool. So we'll go to page 18. Page 19 that we should know about. Okay, cool. So we'll do a little bit of both. All right, so we'll start off on practice one. We'll open that up. Okay, so this is it's a pretty straightforward kind of thing. It says here's our instructions. Indicate for each of the following sentences whether it is declarative, in other words, it's making a statement, interrogative, it is asking a question, or imperative, it is ordering you to do something, right? So we have never actually seen a cat in a teapot. Well, you're not asking a question and you're not ordering anybody to do anything, so that's a declarative sentence, right? So by the way, the definitions for these terms are in the chapter. So if you see something like this and you're like, I'm not sure, then you jump back to the rest of the chapter and you go and you read up on that. So once we give an answer, we click the check your answer option. And ta-da, there we go. It is correct. And our feedback is that's right. And so let's go on to the next question. It sounds like a cat is in the teapot. Okay, are we asking a question there? No. Are we ordering somebody around? No. So this is also a declarative sentence. Now, I'm going to pick the wrong answer on purpose so you can see what happens. Let's say we put interrogative, then we click check your answers. Here we get this sentence expresses a statement rather than a question, so it's declarative. So in this case, yeah, you can go ahead and change your answer in case you get it wrong. Ta-da, there we go, that's right. Put the lid on the teapot. We're not asking a question. We're not making a statement. That is an order. We're ordering somebody to do something. Quite often, imperative sentences have an exclamation point at the end there. In fact, that's what an exclamation point is for. All right. So, ta-da, there you go. Right. So that's that. Let's take a look at the lab problems here for chapter one. This is the open and free version. So we have a bunch of exercises, and each exercise has a bunch of problems. So let's knock out a couple in each section. In fact, let's knock out the first one in each section, and that way, if anything changes up on you as you're going through, you will not be confused as to what's up. Right, so we'll relaunch this problem. It's one that I've already done. So we're going to go into reset. Okay, so now we're supposed to identify statements that make up the argument. So the way we do that is we highlight a thing, and then we tell it that it is a statement. All right, so let's see, milk is white. That sounds like a statement. And notice the sanction is incomplete. Why is it incomplete? Because it's expressing one statement, but not enough of it. So why is that? Because in this case, we have the statement actually includes two ideas. That milk is white and that snow is white. So those two things together make up one statement. There. Now we'll click on it. Ta-da, there we go. Snow is a frozen liquid, and milk is a liquid. Okay, there we go. So snow is made of milk. Snow is made of milk. That is also a statement. Okay, so now that we've identified all the statements, we have to identify the conclusion to the argument. Well, in the sentence that we had up here, let's see if we can highlight it. We have a conclusion indicator here on the word so. So if we click on the word conclusion indicator, it will highlight the word that indicates that we've come to the conclusion of the argument rather than the premise. We click on premise indicators. There's no indicators here in this case, but if you see where your conclusion indicator is, you know that what follows it is a conclusion. So everything in front of it has to be a premise. So milk is white and snow is snow. That's a premise. Snow is a frozen liquid and milk is liquid. Premise. Conclusion, snow is made of milk. And again, we know that because we have a conclusion indicator right in front of it. Ta-da. And so this is the way that this argument is supposed to work. Now, obviously, this argument doesn't actually work, but this is the way that it's structured, right? Milk is white, so is snow. Snow is a frozen liquid. Milk is liquid, so snow is the frozen liquid that is white. So it must be milk, right? One of those sorts of things. Excuse me. All right, so there's our exercise 1. At this point, we see that we have our problem score is 1 out of 1. We've completed the problem. Now let's go down into Logic Lab 2. And we are going to open up the first problem. It tells us to construct an argument diagram for the given passage. Sounds a lot like the previous one. So the gate is locked and I don't have a key, which means we have to wait for someone else to arrive before we can go inside. All right, so the phrase which means should be a conclusion indicator. Yep. So you have a bunch of things, and then when you use the phrase like which means, or therefore, or so, what you're indicating is what's about to show up in the sentence comes in as a result of what came before. That's what a conclusion is. All right, so let's see if it wants me to do this directly or if I can do it indirectly. Yep, it wants me to do it. I'm going to take the whole thing to make a statement. We have to wait for someone else to arrive before we can go inside. That's the statement. We only have one premise, so we only have one conclusion. So now this premise, by the way, could be broken up into two. You could have the gate is locked, period. Oh no, I don't have a key. Second premise. And then we have to wait for someone else to arrive. Right? Let's take a look at Logic Lab 3 for Chapter 1. Again, I'm only doing the first of, I think there's roughly 5 problems per lab. So make sure you do all of them, not just the first one. It looks like they're asking us to do the same thing over here. Yep. Okay. A government is responsible for the safety and security of its citizens, period. That, plus the fact that you can't protect anyone without any resources, supports the claim that the government is right to tax our earnings, right? So let's see if we have any premise indicators in this one. Yeah, there you go. That plus the fact that, and what comes after that is another premise indicator. So here we have our first premise that a government is responsible for blah. You can't protect anyone without any resources. That's another premise. So all this supports the claim that that phrase is a conclusion indicator. There you go. So the government is right to tax our earnings. Let's make sure we cover the entire word. Oh, yes, I put the period in there. Okay, there we go. So premise gives us this conclusion. Right. So if the government is responsible for protecting you and they can't do it without having resources, then they have to get resources from you, and that's called taxation. Ta-da. Take a look over here at exercise 4. Loading slowly. All right. Yeah, we're just doing more argument diagramming. There are cookie crumbs on the counter, and there are no more cookies in the jar besides. So I think it's safe to say that someone ate the cookies. So we have the word so, that's a conclusion indicator right there. There's no premise indicator because there's only one sentence in front. You're not usually going to find a premise indicator unless it's something like because blah, 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 that's why blah, blah, blah. So there are cookie crumbs on the counter. There's no more cookies in the jar besides. That's just, okay, I see. It cares about the word. Yes, it does care about the word besides. It's one statement, but not enough of it. Okay. I guess we didn't. I think someone ate the cookies is good enough. No. Yeah, yes. So that we can tell that it's officially thing. There's a conclusion, and obviously the rest of it is premises. That, by the way, is a shortcut. If you can identify the conclusion, you click on that. The other things all have to be premises in this sort of only one step kind of a situation, right? You have premises and one conclusion, and that's where you stop. Normally, by the way, like complicated arguments do a couple of premises and then a conclusion, and then that conclusion plus some other premises give you a second conclusion, and then that conclusion plus a bunch of other premises give you a third conclusion. And it's like a really involved process. All right, so that covers all the sort of styles of homework for chapter 1. All these other problems are sort of more of the same. You have to work it out for those sentences, but now you know how to do a version of each one of these. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave it in the comments and or email me, and I'll get back to you. Take care.